one we're going to make a flower ornament, or you could use it as a sunflower applique, or keep it. It could also be a star, 6-point star. I did this one in a white and a really pretty purple. So the next one I'm going to do more like a sunflower. So I'm going to start with I'm going to use an H hook for this. And I've got light brown yarn. I'm going to start with a magic circle and a chain 2, which will be counted as my first double crochet. Then I'll need to do 7 more into my magic circle, so I'll have a total of 8. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll pull my tail, a slip stitch into my chain 2. And that completes round 1. So for round 2, you're going to chain 2, and it counts as your double crochet. Then you're going to double crochet into the same stitch your chain 2 came out of. So that puts 2 double crochets in your first stitch, and then you're going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around, which gives you a total of 18 stitches. So that was 3 and 4. 16 stitches, not 18 stitches. 5 and 6. 7 and 8. 9 and 10. Oops. 9 and 10. 11 and 12. 13 and 14. And then 15 and 16. Go on our last stitch. And you slip stitch back into your chain 2 to finish off round 2. Always hate having to go into a chain. One of my least favorite parts. Alright. That's in round 2. You can cut off whatever color you decide to use for center. If you decide to use the center of a different color, you could also do the very center one color, this center another color. The next round, which we're going to do now, the next round we're going to do right now is going into the white. You could do another color, and then the final round is actually the petals. So in the end, you'll have 4 rounds if you want to do them all 4 different colors. I obviously only chose to do the circle one color and the petals another. Since I'm going for a more sunflower look, I'm going with yellow for my next color. My next round will follow the 1 stitch in one hole, 2 stitch in the next holes, 1 stitch in one hole, 2 stitch in the next row, all the way around. But for this round, I'm going to do half double crochet, one chain stitch. Yeah. And then on this one, I don't count the chain stitch as my first single crochet. So my first stitch, and I got this little tangle. There we go. I like to go over my ends. So my first stitch is a half double crochet into the first stitch. Stitch 2 and 3 is half double crochet into the same stitch, so they share a hole. 4 gets its own hole. 5 and 6 will share a hole. 7 will have its own hole. 8 and 9 will share a hole. 10 will have its own hole. 11 and 12 will share a hole. 13 will have its own hole. 14 and 15 will share a hole. 16 will have its own hole. 17 and 18 will, 17, 18 will share a hole. 19 will have its own hole. 20 and 21 will have its own hole. 20 and 21 share a hole. Sorry, I don't know why I said have so. 22 has its own hole. And then 23 and 24 are right under my chain. 1. When I pull my tails, it pulls them back down. Then you can chain into your first half double crochet. And then round 4, you are not going to start with a chain. You're going to skip your first stitch. You're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, all in the same stitch. And then you're going to do a chain 3 picot. So you chain 1, 2, 3. My chain went straight vertical down, so I bring my hook down to where I left off my double crochet in my chain. So my chains will be this looseness here. And I pull through those 2 loops I went through and through my hook, and that secures my picot. And then I'll do 3 double crochets, still all in the same hook, loop. 1, 2, 3. And that's our first petal, but it doesn't look right. So, the next part is we skip the next stitch. Sorry, you can see a little better. Skip the next stitch. We're skipping the stitch, and we're going into the stitch after that and doing a single crochet. Looks a little bit more like a petal now. Then we skip the next stitch, and we're going to do the same thing for our petals in the stitch after. So it's 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. If you choose to skip the skipping of the stitches, you'll end up with more petals, and they'll be a little more wrinkly versus flatter. Which I wanted flatter for the ornament. When you're doing an applique, you probably want more petals and a little more wrinkleness to it. Alright, so my 3 double crochets that go into my picot. So it's chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Come down to the 2 last loops of my double crochet. Pull through those and pull through the loop that's on my hook. And 3 more double crochets all into the same loop. And I'm going to skip this stitch and do a single crochet into the next stitch, and that tacks my petal down. Skip the next stitch and do 3 double crochets in the stitch after. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go into the picot. I'm going to do this one slower. So it's a chain of 1, 2, 3. And then this is my double crochet, and this is that top stitch from that. So the top stitch, which we would normally go into when we're on our next row, if we were doing next row, we split the V, so we're going down the V, and then the running stitch here is also what we go into. So you can see the running stitch, pull up our yarn and go through those 2 loops, because you need to tack down those 3 chain stitches. If you pull through some other ones, it'll probably be okay. The point is to tack down those 3 chains because it gives you the little point to it. And then you go back into your same hole down here and do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Skip to the next stitch, go to the one after, and do a single crochet. And so far we have 3 petals. Skip our next stitch and do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 3 chains up for our picot. Through our double crochet stitch, pull it through, and 3 double crochets. And then skip the next stitch, single crochet to tack it down, skip the next stitch, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, through our 2 loops, and pull through, and pull through. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet. Skip a stitch and do double crochet. Nope, that's not right. Sorry. Skip a stitch and do a single crochet. Now skip a stitch and do your double crochets for our last petal. So far we've got 5. This will be number 6. So it's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets, and then a picot of 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. Go through our 2 loops, pull through, and pull through our last one, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then this one you do your final single crochet here. Now you can chain up in the color of your petals and keep going here, or you can disconnect, do a different color. I disconnected and just did the white. Not a particular fan how this one turning out because it pulls a hole into the, when I'm tacking down differently. I didn't like it. Do a different color altogether. Do the metal hangers or paper clip. I'm going to keep doing it here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Also, if you chose not to do the skip stitches or some of the skip stitches to create a little more bunch on your petals, you may end with an odd stitch here or a shorter stitch. It's okay to tuck them under or to stretch it across a little bit more. I'm going to tuck it down where it came in from with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to cut it off, and when I pull all the way through, when I weave in my ends, I'm going to help tack down the loop so it gives it a little bit of a stronger hold, because as you can see with just those two, it kind of creates a weak point. So I take the tail and go back through where I came off from my first chain stitch, in through the petals, and then where the petals meet, because they went up in chains, it did create a little bit gap. So with part of my chain, I will close that gap. Part of my chain, part of my tail. And that's a personal preference for myself. It's yarn. It stretches. It moves. It's the nature of the beast. Certain stitches do a lot more than others. Especially depends on what the item gets used for. If this is getting used for as an ornament, once you get it down, you want, for the most part, the worst that's going to happen is it's going to get folded up in storage probably. And you'll just have to flatten it back out. Usually flatten it by hand, smishing between some books, little humidity. You can do a little zap with low heat iron. It will smash some of the texture of the stitch out, especially depending on how long you leave it on there. But for the most part, something like this won't lose its shape. If you're using this for something other than an ornament, you may not want the attachment holder piece, blanking what the term would be called, hanger I guess. Or you may want to make it longer if you're doing like a river mirror thing when possible. And I'm running in my ends. If it's something that's got an inside or a back side, I try to run my ends there. That way, if the ends do run loose, get a little loose, they're not that noticeable. Some people just like to tie them off, and depending on what you're doing, it's fine. To me, it creates a little hard spot. And while if you're doing this as an ornament or just some for decoration that you're not going to really touch a lot, you're fine as long as you do it well. Otherwise, it could create you can pull this tight if it got loose. Mine typically didn't get loose, but the brown definitely loosened overall as I was working it. I think it's just two different brands of yarn I used. The brown was most likely Red Heart, and this yellow was some sort of crafter type thing, and no name brand thing. It was a small little skein I got, I don't remember where. And as you can see, because this purple was some unmarked yarn and it was a thinner, they do come out, oops, sorry, out of camera, slightly different in sizes. The white was most likely Red Heart. The purple actually has some blue streaking, which doesn't show up too well in the camera, but it's actually really soft and kind of pretty for purple. I'm not a purple fan. But it is, well, it's a worsted yarn. It is slightly smaller, so you do get a slightly different gauge. There you go.